traveling is an experience all individuals should have because it exposes them to other cultures, therefore giving them a broader knowledge of the world around them. The world around us is changing more and more every day. Therefore, we're going to have to change with it, just like we've had to evolve with technology and the ever-changing cycle of digital media. Traveling abroad will become one of those things people will have to evolve with. International traveler and blog writer Matthew Kemps wrote an article for CNN Travel called Why Americans Don't Travel Abroad of April of 2011. He believes that more Americans going abroad will become inedible sooner or later. Americans are going to have to speak more languages and be more culturally savvy. We have to change because we have to do business with all these cultures. What I found interesting about that statement is just in the area that we live in here in Sioux City, the beef plants have brought in pretty much a huge, different populations. We have a huge Hispanic, people that have moved here and live here now. Somalians have been another culture that have been brought here by the beef plants. So a lot of these people have had to adapt to us just like we've had to adapt to them. And I think that's where, some people have different problems with like racism because they don't understand someone and they, maybe don't choose to quite understand that person's culture and why they believe the certain things that they believe. The more a person understands the world around them, it gives them a broader knowledge that only travel can help them achieve. These personal experiences can only be attained by actually going out and doing them. It's something that can't be taught or, learned through a school book. It's something that you actually have to get out there to do. But for some, this is why a lot of people don't like to travel. It can be too much of a hassle. You've got long delays, baggage, they're afraid that their baggage might get lost. Getting around once they get there, is it cost effective because the currency rate for American money to their money is different lots of times. So, you're kind of losing money sometimes when you do that. Also too, how much vacation time a person gets, because if you only have a week and you're trying to go overseas, you got to adapt to that huge time change. And a lot of people too, it's the fear of going somewhere unknown, going somewhere new, that just might keep them from wanting to ever, kind of experience it. Some people just really get trapped into their fears. I myself never thought about traveling overseas, and it was the same kind of fears of the unknown, and a lot of people as they get older, they become accustomed to their surroundings. They're afraid to leave, they're afraid to try anything new. But once I went, I couldn't get enough of what I saw. I thought it was truly like no other experience, because you can see a lot of this stuff on TV, movies, things like that. But when I actually went to London, Paris, Budapest, and Scotland are the places that I went. This was the Queen's place. That was probably one of the more interesting places to see just because it was so huge. It was just massive. This was Bodiam Castle. I'm way up there. But this was one of the bigger castles. Their history, over there, is hundreds of years. That castle, I believe, was over 1,000 years old. It was one of the more older castles that were still standing. This is a picture of the courtyard. There was a moat around this castle. So that was the pretty interesting part about it was when people were in wars, that lived there, they all had to go to the courtyard. That was their only way to be outside because they couldn't leave the castle. England, this was an interesting thing. This was actually, they don't know who put it there. It's been there for hundreds of years. Under this grass is kind of like a chalky type thing. So they're saying, could this have been done by humans or aliens? Or, it's kind of like with our crop circles, which we have found out are not done by aliens. They have no clue who did this or how it was even done. Paris, a lot of the cool things for Paris was the Cathedral of Notre Dame. This was my own travel guide, Dorley Kinderson travel guide for Paris. The interesting thing about the Cathedral of Notre Dame it was left to rot after the Revolution until Victor Hugo led a restoration restoring it. Otherwise, it would have just been there to rot, basically. Another interesting thing was the Eiffel Tower. The Eiffel Tower was so huge when I first got there. I had seen it in the distance, and I was trying to, walk, and I just thought it wasn't that far. But after about a good hour, I ended up just getting on the subway and making it to the Eiffel Tower. I also wanted to see the Mona Lisa, which was in the Louvre. So I was trying to rush and hurry up and see it before the museum closed. Once I got in, there was all these tunnels, like just trying to get there to the Mona Lisa. And when I walked in this room, there was over 50 people looking at the same exact painting from all around the world. There's people from Japan, China, Australia, America. It was just amazing at that one time, that I went. That's, probably like an everyday occurrence, that's how many people, are so interested and want to see that. But that was definitely one of the highlights of Paris. Budapest, one of their main things is opera. This is the third largest opera house in the world. On top of this, you can't really see it, but it's just different angels playing different musical instruments. Another thing that was with Budapest was they had tons of statues everywhere. This was like their town square, and it had 4 other pillars around it. They have tons of cathedrals. I probably went through 15 different cathedrals, but this one was interesting because everything in that picture was made of actual gold. So that was one of the neatest ones I saw. Scotland, the interesting thing about Scotland was how many mountains they were. I guess I pictured Scotland really different. It was very remote, very, tiny little towns all over. And then of course also, Scotland's known for the Loch Ness Monster. So that's supposedly where it was seen. They have like a statue and the times that Loch Ness has been there, but he wasn't there that day, so I didn't get to see him. But the only thing that I didn't get to do, maybe next time, was the London Dungeon. They have tons of tours, and the line was just like way too long that day, and I was trying to see everything. But that's actual where the Queen would send people to be beheaded and things like that. So you're talking about hundreds of years of people being killed in the actual London Dungeon. So maybe next time I'll witness that. But those were some of the main highlights. A few of my pictures out of probably 1,000 or so or more. But those were the main things that I really liked about that trip, because they were things that I wasn't expecting. So that's the thing about with travel is there's a lot of stuff that can spark creativity for people. It's just something a way that you see the world differently. That there is more than the town that you live in. Robert Reed wrote in an article for Fox News called How Traveling Makes You Smarter, Sexier, and More Productive in 2011. He stated that a 2011 psychological study at Indiana University shows that traveling can improve creativity and self-awareness for students. The Student Exchange Program is a great way for students to learn more about the world. Alana Algar also wrote an article called Top 5 Reasons to Go on Foreign Exchange on exchangeworld.com in March of 2011. While on foreign exchange students benefit from a multitude of unique life experiences. So, basically that's pretty much like anyone. The personal development that you learn for yourself just by meeting other people, and for students it's been said that, they see the world differently and things that they may want to do to change the world for themselves. Just meeting new people, learning a different language, it just sparks creativity, and just like getting over the fear and actually going and just calling yourself a world traveler is like, one of the better things that would be, that was one of my main things, and every time I got my passport stamped, that was what I liked about it. But Robert Reed also stated in his article that travel can improve your life by improving creativity and self-awareness. The more one understands themselves, they become more focused, and it helps them grow as an individual. Most people don't get the chance to tap into their creative side. After childhood, late teens, people become more in their day-to-day life. They kind of lose that creative side and the focus on what they used to have as interests. So as their just day-to-day life becomes a routine and a set schedule. Most people don't like to change their schedules once they find a routine that works. Not everyone is the same, and that's what makes the world so interesting and diverse. With new cultures and ethnic backgrounds moving to different parts of the world, it shows how the world is changing. More and more people are accepting of other people, other cultures, trying new things, and no matter what one takes from traveling abroad, it becomes their own experience, and what they learn and take away from it will be something different that anyone else would experience from it too. So with all the different benefits traveling can have, as the world grows more and more multicultural, it's a better understanding of the world around us. We will learn to adapt and change with society. Therefore, traveling is an experience that you should have at least once in your life.